Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Patrick, and this is my 2007 gold Maruti Suzuki Swift, which I'm getting rid of, and I wanted to document its history. We had gotten it up to, let's see here, 69,810 kilometers. Wonderful. Back when this car was first bought, that is when stereos were not installed in the factory. So you had to get a stereo installed. This is a Sony. Wonderful item. Came with the auxiliary input, so we could do the iPads at those times. And a remote control, because in case you were that far away in the back seat, you could still control your radio. Interesting side bit, after this was installed, so you have a brand new car, the first thing that happens is they rip out the entire door panels and dashboard in order to install the stereo, and I never got proper left-right stereo out of the car since then. So had the car 6 years, could not listen properly to music the whole time. It was wonderful. There's my Ganesh. Basically the first week had the car, didn't put the Ganesh on, it got dinged 3 times. Put the Ganesh on, didn't get dinged again for a year and a half. So the remover of obstacles always comes in handy. And still in a battle with the drivers to leave the door light on. Now we get to the history of the dings. We will start. There's actually, since it's a while ago, I can't remember all of them. That's definitely just a parking lot scratch. And down here, that must have been done by a driver because no one ever told me about it. And come back here. This ding right here, I was in West Maripoli and came out of a parking spot to do a U-turn and looked in my side view mirror, saw nothing, pulled out in front of a two-wheeler who was driving in the middle of the night without his headlight on, so I didn't see him at all. Of course, that's just a rub scratch. That's just living in Hyderabad there. Not too much story along the back bumper. You can't see much here, but actually interesting here, one monsoon. Oh, you can see how this got broken out. One monsoon, more than half of the road was flooded. I was driving to the right side of the road in this country to avoid flooding my engine, and some two-wheeler decided he could cut through the water. At the last minute, he decided too deep, cut behind me just as I hit on the brakes, and he smashed right into here. Luckily, it's fiberglass, so you punch it right back out. 2 days later, exact same thing happened. There you go. This is a beautiful one. I was at a T-junction, and a four-wheels bus just had to keep creeping along, crawling along, and just as I passed him, he tagged me. That was really nice of him. Got a nice adrenaline rush out of that, so I guess I should really have thanked him for it. Right here, this is where 2 days after having the car brand new, the driver hit a median. There you go, that's always a nice one. Here we'll see the back end of my rearview mirror got popped off. This was when I was near Hyderabad Central at the crossroads, and a car came along on my right and trying to make an extra lane to go forward. Meanwhile, a lorry on my left was cutting me off, and I had nowhere to go, and the lorry popped off the back of my rearview mirror. We will come back to this one, because this is the most recent damage. Here we see is actually the only damage which is actually my fault. I was following behind a lorry that had some metal stairs for people to walk up the back, and I knew my brakes were not doing well, and I was following him too closely. So he hit the brakes, and I hit my brakes, which weren't working very well, and smacked him in the back. And then we get down here. This was fun. My battery had actually gone dead, and my driver was helping me push the car, and I let him control the brakes, and he let it roll into a tree. That was nice. And then, last but not least, when I was gone to Goa, the driver also was trying to who was trying to push start the car, and him and 3 gentlemen was pushing the car, without anybody behind the driver's seat. And they slow rolled it into a metal post. So, there you go. 80% of the damage was done by someone other than me. But the one nice thing about the Maruti